of the dead bodies. This is the major incidents, something that can expose the killings, the dead bodies. Now the dead bodies are not there to be found. They have covered one thing. There is going to be blood spilled on the floor walls. There is going to be sign of gunshots, blades punching the walls and the ceilings and everything. So they have to destroy the walls and all buildings to make sure that there is no sign that great shot was taking place at that point. So they destroy everything. They now dig grave, mass grave in the night and cover everybody in, dead or alive. Even those that they suspected that they may survive, they were eyewitnesses. They killed them. Of these 25 that were interviewed here, they survived accidentally because nobody knew they could survive. Some of them survived just out of luck. At the time of the incident, it was very sure that they died. People who saw them confessed that they died. They were killed. But eventually we saw them again. Some people were set on fire, burned, whether 3rd degree, 4th degree, or all degrees, because the whole body was on fire. Yet, there are many of them, some survived and were interviewed, whose testimony is also here. So the hundreds, they are unlucky that our settlement, the settlement of the Shiite in Zaria, was not isolated. It was not outside the town, like the Waco case in Texas in America. They isolated themselves outside. Similar case like I don't know whether you call it massacre, where they killed a lot of people suspected to be Boko Haram in Bauchi. Also because they contain, they form a settlement of their own. 100% they were the ones. So it was easy to descend on them and kill everything and seal everything and forget about everything. So unfortunately for them, the Zaria case was not like that. The Zaria case were in the midst of people. It's in the city. It's almost in every house neighboring the Sheikh Ibrahim Yakub Ezeki's house. So they were everywhere. They could not again. They were the first time again. One day, the genesis again of using the word massacre, which I forgot, was because that was the word the government started using it when they wanted to destroy the Islamic movement since 2009. When they say that the only way to destroy is now to commit what? Massacre. So perhaps, again, that is why we are using the author is using the word massacre. Movement at that particular time, which they could destroy, even from the air. But then, it will affect those that were not members of the Islamic movement. That was not their own problem. But then the problem is other people that could see what was happening. That was another problem. Now, that is, if you consider this, all the destructions, all the killings, then now the question happens. Could we now leave this thing covered as they wanted to do? Because the moment they start that, like what happened is every massacre, government narratives now start coming out with propaganda. That I will give you an example of the Zaria and the Waco, which also a lot of similarities. Immediately after the killing, government started saying that they were compiling weapons. That's what they even said in America. They were compiling weapons. They have stockpiles of weapons. After that, they say no. After killing them, they say it was because of their own strong faith they committed suicide. They wanted to die. Now, after killing them, they set the whole building on fire. They said it's because they wanted to die, they set the place on fire. They didn't say the government set the place on fire. They said those victims were the one who said, because what happened was they believed that they had killed everybody and nobody was living. And so nobody could dispute what they said. And now it stands that nobody, but only reasoning will tell you that how could these kind of people who have never committed suicide before in their life could do this? Unfortunately for them, in the case of Zaria, because of the large number of survivors, including the person, the chief suspect that they wanted to kill, that is still alive, that one has exposed all their atrocities. So for them to come out now and say that, okay, the narratives is now that nobody was killed. Initially when they said nobody was killed. That is one of the things. Propaganda machine. Nobody was killed. And the lucky target say army did not even go there at all. No, army didn't go there. So it was later they said they went there, but they didn't kill anybody. They went there, they didn't go with weapons. You see all this until a lot of other things started tricking in before they came to agree that something happened. So they used propaganda immediately after killing you to make sure that their narratives would be the ones to be listened to. In Zaria, after they committed this thing, they had prepared a video clip to be circulating on the social media that road was blocked against the chief of army staff. And of course, it made an impact at the early stage. But then later people started asking questions that could not be answered. So these are some of the narratives. So if nobody survived, then it is only their narratives could work. But what happened? What happened at the end? Justice must be what? For those people that were victimized, killed, or whatever, the survivors, in one way or the other, those whose properties were destroyed. Then how do you work out that without any evidence? How do you work it out? Everything was buried and forgotten about. You cannot lay your hand on anything, any substance. They even destroy documents. And that's why they attack even Husseiniya, that is Islamic Center in Damagaji. They went to Darul Rahman and destroyed it. They went to even graveyard and they destroyed everything because they were suspecting that some important document that may reveal these secrets may be there, hidden somewhere. So they made sure that nothing could be available to prove them anything. They are destroyers, but yet they were afraid. Because of what? Anything that is done extrajudicial, because they feel that they do not believe that these people they will be able to contain these people if they go according to the law. Set out to do with the 2015 December of Zaria killing. To expose, try to extract information to reveal what really happened on that massacre period. The massacre took place within 12, 13, 14, less than 72 hours, and more than 1,000 people perished. So it qualifies to be called massacre. As of this, more than 1,000 is more than 4, isn't it? More than 4 people killed. Even at the second to the last chapter of this book, the author told us that the confession of the state government, where they say that they buried 347 corpses of the members of the Islamic movement from that incident on that night. 347 is more than 4. So it's a massacre. So where is the justice? So we want to find out, how do we now get the full information about this? Or could now history go by the version of the government and other actors, what they said about the Islamic movement or what happened on that particular day? So that is the need for the investigative book like this. So any other person, any reader would like to know what really happened on that day. So this book now took account of 25 people, interviewed them exactly what happened with them, what happened, what they saw, so that this is a first-hand information. It's not reported information. If nobody survived, you can only hear second-hand information from another person, third person. But this is first-hand. First-hand. Those people that were involved directly from the incident. And this is what they are saying. Now, report from one lady that says she explains how a soldier shot her. How she was shot by a soldier. Another one says, soldiers stripped us of our hijabs. He removed their belts. Another one said they were handcuffed behind their hands and tore their dresses. This is a lady. Another one reported that though I survived or escaped, I lost my daughter. I also lost my daughter, actually. So she also lost her daughter. She survived.
Of 25 persons contained in this book, as a practicing lawyer and activist, I saw potential clients. Well, I will make a brief statement that the accounts contained herein emancipated that serious breach of fundamental human rights have occurred. I have gone through some narrations and I have analyzed the contents of the Nigerian Constitution, more particularly Chapter 4, where the fundamental human rights were enunciated, and I can see that all the rights contained in the Constitution have been violated as far as the testimony of these 25 individuals is concerned. Briefly, I have the prior knowledge that the military, or rather the Nigerian army, conducted this Zaria massacre. The legal question is, who is liable for this massacre? When you talk of liability, you think of strict liability and vicarious liability. Vicarious liability is where an agent conducts something, an act, and the liability goes to his master instead of him himself, right? Because he is an agent. Strict liability is when someone conducts something and it stands on him. As far as the Zaria massacre is concerned, there is no time to elaborate, but the liability goes straight to the Nigerian government because the Nigerian army is an agent of the Nigerian government. And from December 2015 to date, there has been no action taken by the Nigerian government to relieve itself of the liability. Therefore, we can conclude that the Nigerian government is vicariously liable along with the Nigerian army. And the last thing I will say is that all the 25 people, among others that testified in this book, shall be rest assured that justice shall be done to them. Thank you.